Here are 7 things that you are doing that your manager hates. So if you're watching this video and you recognize that you're doing any of these things, make sure you stop it right away. Okay, let's be honest, managers have a really tough job, especially if they're middle-level managers. Managers have to worry about their job. They have to review your work and the rest of your team's work. They have to think about their career growth, but also balancing your career growth. They have to take orders from their boss. Also, they have to make sure that you feel valued as an employee. They have to do performance reviews. They have to spend hours and hours interviewing people to fill their jobs on their teams. They just have a whole lot of work to do. And if you are doing any of these 7 things, you're just making their job that much harder. So let's work together and make your job, your boss's job, a whole lot easier. And of course, if you do any of these 7 things, once you stop doing them, you're really going to be setting yourself up for success and a potential promo. So might as well knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, right? So the first thing that every single manager hates is someone who constantly points out problems or constantly complains but never provides any potential solutions or ways to solve these problems. You may be thinking, that's not me, but if you have ever gone into a career conversation and said that you were upset that you didn't get promoted, or you were upset that you weren't paid enough, but never provided any potential solutions on how to fix this, or how you could potentially get promoted the next round, then you are essentially doing this same problem. So instead of just pointing out things that are wrong or things that really frustrate you at your job, also recommend ways in which you could potentially fix these or improve processes or solve these problems. Or if you feel like you should have been promoted, you need to show up with a promotion plan and walk your manager through it and get them to commit to certain deliverables. And if you're able to achieve certain milestones or deliver certain things or achieve certain results, that they can commit to you a better performance rating and or a promotion and or a raise. You need to be much more solutions oriented. Now, the second thing you might be doing that your manager actually hates is not being proactive. You shouldn't sit around and wait for your manager to tell you to do something. Again, very similar to the first point, you need to be solutions oriented. So if you notice somebody on your team is struggling or they have a lot of work, maybe you should volunteer and step up to see how you can help that person so your manager doesn't have to worry about that at all. Or maybe you have a new team member joining. You should volunteer to onboard them and train them up so your manager doesn't have to do that. This, of course, will also set you up to be a potential manager in the future because now you are mentoring and coaching others. Or maybe your manager is giving you updates from leadership about future changes or developments in your company or your product roadmap. You should then be volunteering to get or be a part of some of these new projects. Or you should be volunteering to figure out solutions on how to ease that workload for your manager or how to manage these changes. Now, the third thing that your manager absolutely hates is when someone doesn't incorporate feedback. It's okay to make mistakes, and everyone's going to make at least 1 mistake while they're at their job because no one is perfect and no one is a robot, and so mistakes are totally fine. But what you don't want to do is make the same mistake multiple times and have your manager tell you the same thing over and over and over again because nobody likes to repeat themselves. And surprisingly to what a lot of you may think, it's actually a really good thing for your performance reviews and to get potential promotions if you are able to demonstrate that you take feedback very well, you incorporate this feedback, and you don't let the same mistake happen multiple times. This is actually one thing that every manager notices right away. Whether you're able to receive their feedback and not make the same mistake multiple times, this is actually going to put you in a very positive light with your manager and help you stand out from everybody else. Another thing that managers hate is when it doesn't look like you are working hard. Now, you need to remember optics and perception is everything when it comes to your personal brand. Now, let's be honest, whenever we're at work, occasionally we want to check our phones, maybe we watch a YouTube video here and there, maybe we want to chat it up with some of our coworkers in the bullpen, but you don't want to make this be the only time your manager sees you. You want to make sure that your manager believes that you are working very hard. So be very cognizant of your optics and how you present yourself. If you're always watching YouTube videos or listening to music whenever your manager comes in to check on you or just to come back into the office, you want to manage those expectations and make it look like you're working very, very hard. Another thing you should definitely stop doing is showing up to meetings unprepared. So if you are the one that organized this meeting, make sure you have an agenda and an objective, and make sure you're able to accomplish all of those things in the time frame of that meeting, and make sure you have the right people there in the meeting to accomplish what you need. Now, maybe you're in a meeting that was not organized by you. You should still make sure you do your homework and come prepared. Make sure you have all the data ready in case you need to talk about something or explain something. Or be prepared to at least give status updates or talk about potential roadblocks that you may be facing. You don't want to come to a meeting unprepared. Or if somebody asks you a question or asks you for an update, you don't want to look like, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. Let me get back to you. Now, the sixth thing that you might be doing that your manager hates is not giving them feedback. Remember, your manager wants to get better and your manager also wants to improve. It shouldn't just be a one-way street between you and your manager. Now, if you're uncomfortable or not sure how you can bring this up and share feedback with your manager, the way that I like to do it is in your one-on-one meeting with your manager, ask them for some feedback or some status update on how you are doing and performing so far. Then, once they're done giving you your feedback, you should ask them, okay, fantastic, I'm definitely going to work on these things. Would you mind if I also give you some feedback now? As long as you do it in a very genuine way and talk about it objectively, your manager is going to really appreciate that. And your manager is going to want to know how they can get better as well. So don't be afraid to share feedback. Now, the last thing that managers really hate is anybody who constantly makes up excuses and blames others for potential mistakes or mishaps. So if you make a mistake or if something goes wrong at work, make sure that you take responsibility, but you can also explain how something happened. You don't want to be the person that's known for throwing other people under the bus, or for shifting blame away from them, or by trying to point their finger at somebody else and not take responsibility. This is a huge pet peeve for every single manager. So if something bad does happen at work, and again, mistakes always happen, make sure you can explain to your manager how you can ensure that this will not happen again. Maybe you need to change something in the process, or maybe you need to create some type of checklist for yourself, or maybe you need to coach up others so that upstream or downstream dependencies and stakeholders don't let these things happen again. But remember to take responsibility and to find proactive ways to address these in the future. All right, so now you know 7 things that managers really hate. And hopefully you aren't doing any of these things. But if you are, now you can recognize it and stop it right away. If you found this video to be helpful or you want to share it with a friend, make sure you go ahead and do that and click subscribe down below. And I'll see you in the next video.